it's Dr. Linda Martin, and I am LinkedIn Live broadcasting with my friend Shane Oliver. And so I want to mention that this is our first show, LinkedIn Live, and I am so excited to have Shane with me. He was one of the first guests on the Safety Struggle podcast. And if you came here looking for some safety training or safety stuff today, you're going to get a little bit of it, but hey, my goodness, we're going to talk about gratitude. Okay. And we're going to talk about gratitude and how to cultivate it and how to do that on a work site when you're far away from home. And welcome, Shane.
How you doing? First of all, that was an awesome introduction. The guys in the podcast world are going to have some work to do to step it up. Get past the roller coaster.
You know, I am so excited to have LinkedIn Live in order to get a message out there. Some of the stuff that we've been doing on the podcast, Shane, I know that you were like in on the ground floor with me, and we've been talking about safety issues. We've been talking about construction. We've been talking about all those types of things. And when I started to think about today and, what we should be talking about, and, like for this first session, I was kind of like, it's Thanksgiving. I'm finally with my people. I finally got my peeps. I see all my peeps here that have logged in, and I'm finally in a position to start talking about things that really matter to people in the field. Doing the trades and working the hard jobs. And one of the reasons I brought you on is because you're one of those guys that I met and is now my brother. I hope that doesn't bother you.
I appreciate that.
And, I wanted to get your take on what it's like to be away from home, because, you and I both have our kids home today. We're not on a job site, but there are guys that are on a job site, and they're people in the military, and they're far away from home. And how do we cultivate that gratitude when it hits us like a brick that we're not there?
Right. So, first of all, I'm grateful that you asked me to do this, because I think I can bring a different perspective to the people listening. And I kind of thought about it a little bit, and where I wanted to start was, first of all, what makes us do contracting work in the first place? How come we're traveling all over the country and not just working at home? And I know for myself, I've shared with people before that I'm on my third marriage right now because of contracting. I've had a bunch of ups and downs, and I talked about it on another show with Pedro. What makes us do this? And for a lot of people, you either looking for a job switch, or there's different reasons, but ultimately it's the money. And you start hearing about the money that's out there on the road compared to the money that you can make working a normal 40-hour week and go home, and the money is double, sometimes triple, sometimes more than that. And so people hit those low points and think, well, if I can just go do this for a few months, I can get us out of the hole. I can get all our payments caught up, get our bills caught up. And that's great. And some people do it one time and then never go back. And then other people do it one time and mess up their money, and they don't have any choice but to go back. Yep. I know my first run, that first wife of mine was spending money faster than I could make it.
Yeah.
And I mean, she whipped through $8,000 in 7 weeks, and wow. I couldn't see where
all gifts for you, right?
No, I couldn't see where a single dime of that money went.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening, you come off a contract broke, relying on unemployment if you can get it, and it takes 3 or 4 weeks for that to hit. In the meantime, you're worrying because bills are still coming, and you got no choice but to go on another contract. And before you know it, you do enough of those, and this is what happened with me. I've been in so many facilities and made so many different variations of money on the hour that I developed a certain amount of self-worth, a worth that I can put a dollar bill amount next to. Mm-hmm. And what you see going on right now, especially 2020 with all the COVID, is all the people struggling looking for work, and the pay scales are down, and all these people are thinking the same thing, that I have a sense of self-worth that I can put a dollar bill amount next to, you know,
Mhm.
and it's easy to get trapped in that. And again, that's what happened with me. Why I did it for so long was because the money.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I could draw unemployment. And if I work up in the northeastern states, a lot of times that unemployment rate is higher than I would make going to work every day.
Right.
And you know, I can't say anything fraudulent because yes, I was actually looking for work. So, in case unemployment
Yeah.
offices hear any of this, but you know,
I
I
don't
worked
think
for,
I don't think I have any unemployment
but
office people following me, but perhaps you never know.
yeah, people, when you do it enough times, you figure out how to live your life according to what unemployment might pay.
Yeah.
And that's for the ones that were doing like I did. I just had this conversation with my wife in the last couple of days about 3 times that I messed up so much money over the years. And I looked back and wondered, how come I don't drive a brand new truck? How come the truck I'm driving right now has got 325,000 miles on it? I'm still driving across the country in it.
Yep.
And how come I didn't have my own house? How come I didn't have my own property? I was still renting property and just in debt up to my eyeballs and all these different things, until I finally figured out I got to start doing my money right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all those times in between to get to the gratitude part was one of the things I did to spend my money right was made my house comfortable. I had nice things in the house. And I would tell any young person now that started contracting, use those first couple of runs, buy all your toys. Get all that car stereo, big screen
Get it out of your
TV,
system, right?
buy all that stuff, and that way everything's paid for. You already got your toys, and from that point on, you can just start saving money and
Yeah.
start paying stuff off. But there's a lot of us get trapped up in it. I would venture to say there's a big percentage of folks out there, male and female, that have troubled lives at home. Uh, all different things going on, and some of them do it. I mean, just get addicted to it, to being gone. It's it's kind of
Yeah.
tough, but you got to make the best of your time in between. And I've been on jobs where the company flew me into the site. They paid for the lodging. They expected me to work a certain period of time, regardless of holidays.
Mhm.
And if they gave us a day off, it might be the holiday only. And with that being said, you can't fly home. You
Mhm.
can't. There's not enough time to take any risk of getting caught in the airport or delayed flights or anything like that. And you just have to, learn how to adjust it. Have Christmas a little bit late or Thanksgiving a little bit early or whatever it is. I mean, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but
So I mean, I've been in the field, but I've always been in a full-time job, right?
right,
I'm a safety. I love it how you call people safeties. I'm a safety and environmental consultant that always had that full-time job, right?
right,
Um, but I got caught up in the money.
yeah,
Got caught up in the money, and I got caught up in being that face of whatever people wanted me to be the face of. And um, you know, I think where my gratitude comes in is that at some point, um, and whatever religion you are, I had a come to Jesus moment when I almost lost my marriage the beginning of the year, and realized that it's more about my ethics. It's more about who I am as a person and what I care about and who I care about, right?
right,
And it's not so much about making a couple $100,000. It's not so much about being the face of, let's say, the face of safety. Um, but it is about knowing your self worth, as you said.
yeah, yeah,
And it is about making sure that you're cultivating gratitude every day for the things that you do have.
right.
And, now I'm a poor academic, and I
I hear
couldn't
you.
be, man, I couldn't be happier, right?
Yeah,
Um, so my question, I mean, you say all these things that are really good tips for people who are in the field doing what you're doing, the project-based work, right? Take care of your money, um, take care of your relationship. Um, I think it's very hard sometimes when you work with guys and gals day in and day out, and they're the only people that you see for days,
Yep.
and I think that's, again, I've never been in the military, but I think it's that way um, in the military as well. You see these people in and out, and how do you get away from them? Well, um, you got to think of strategies to do that. And I want you to, if you would, humor me, talk a little bit about these get-togethers that we've been having uh, with people that we don't know,
Right.
and how you vent and find that happy place, that place of gratitude.
Well, I think one of the topics of conversation that has come up is there's a bunch of us that have been secretly having the same struggles and the same upsets with just careers or whatever it is. And last night I was on a chat with on another show, and they were talking about all the different things that have unfolded in 2020. And January 1st, 2020, I had a full-time job where I was getting to come home every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea January 1st that by the time I got to November 25th, my life was going to be changed the way it has been as of right now. I've met some great people, great like-minded people, and we're all thinking the same things about our industry, about our career. And the other night we did that open mic chat between all of us, and it started off recorded, and before long we had to stop the
Let's
recording.
turn it off.
But we all got to, we all got to talk to each other, meet each other face to face, rather than the open chat that happens on some of the shows. It got to be real. And you're talking about contracting versus military, and I've done both.
Yep.
And I've done a year overseas. And the hard thing about in the military, you accrue your leave time throughout the course of the year. So every month you might accrue 1 day or 2 days or whatever it is till finally you get 30 days a year. And when you're on deployment, they call it a hardship deployment or not. And a hardship means you got to do the whole year without seeing any leave. You can't just be flying back across the pond.
Man,
And
that's crazy.
It's a totally different animal. I would like to separate military from contracting, but there's contractors, in the very beginning of the war in the Middle East, there was a desperate need for contractors, truck drivers, and things like that. And there was a bunch of people going overseas doing the same stuff. And I don't want to keep beating the money train to death, but there was a lot of good money being offered over there. And it was tax-free money. But you had people going over there for a year, going to Afghanistan, Iraq, working for various different companies, and coming home and find out their spouse cheated on them or whatever it is, come home broke and have to turn right back around and go back. In the military, you don't really have that option. You get to save up your time and go back to wherever your hometown is and visit your secondary family, which would be moms, dads, grandparents, cousins, some of your friends you grew up in high school with. Everybody in the service that's active or inactive right now could testify to what I'm saying is we get put in duty stations anywhere in the country. I know a lot of times people will try to pick a duty station close to home.
Yeah.
But oftentimes you don't have any choice. You just go wherever it takes you. And you may go long periods of time without ever going back to your hometown. Contracting, you get a little more freedom with that. But again, you don't get vacation time often. A lot of the companies, you're always working yourself out of a job. You go there knowing it's going to be a 6-month project or a year project, whatever it is, and you're expected to stay there the whole time. Because if you leave, somebody else is going to take your spot.
Yeah.
And again, it's a big mixture of things that happens. But
so what I don't think a lot of people understand, I think maybe a lot of the listeners understand, is that there's a really high rate of suicide in the military because of being able to, not being able to see your family, being deployed, hardships, stress of being with the same people all the time, you name it, right?
Yep.
The same thing is with construction work, right? I mean, I got to tell you, if I had to be away from my little children who are 8 and 5 and my wife for months at a time, I, I don't know what I would do, right?
Yeah.
And I've been in that place where, you feel like, what am I grateful for? I'm
Yeah.
not grateful for this, right?
And
So,
everybody, we talk about finding your why. What's your why? Uh, and everybody has something different. Not everybody out there is married. Not everybody out there has kids. There was a young man when I was on that last project. I noticed right away he was wearing short sleeves and he had all these scars on his forearm. So I guess he was a cutter,
yeah,
which told me he must be on medication too. And you could tell in his mannerisms and stuff that he had different stuff going on with the medication. But there was one morning right after a toolbox talk, one of the project superintendents came to me and asked, "Hey, can you go over there and talk to him? He's crying, he's upset, he's having a breakdown, panic attack, or something." And I sat there and talked to them for a little bit, and turned out he had run out of medication, and his cat died. This was a young man, probably 30 years old. He didn't have any kids or my wife, but his cat was precious to him, and his grandma was sick, and I had
hmm
to sit there and share with him. Listen, buddy, I've been doing this 12 years, and I understand there's a lot of things going on at home, and the only thing we can really do is throw money at it. It doesn't mean you're fixing the problem. It just means you're
yeah,
throwing money over there. And
money almost never, well, never fixes the problem,
yeah,
right? What fixes the problem and what instills gratitude with people is connection, right? And we talk a lot of about connection in doing our work as safety people, right?
yep,
Figuring out what their why is for doing something, why are they having a bad day, etc. Um, I just want to take 1 second, if I can, and just say, if during the holidays, if any time, not just Thanksgiving, not just Christmas, not whenever, right? There are people out there that will listen. And, I mean, thank you for listening to that gentleman, because that probably made a difference in his life. And I've had times, even recently when, my marriage was falling apart, and I had people calling me and checking in on me. And so I'm thankful for that. And so if you don't have the people to call, you don't have the people to talk to, there is a number that you can call, write it down. National Suicide Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. Help is available, and people will listen, right?
yep,
Because there is much to be grateful for. Just to be living is to be grateful right now, especially with a hard 2020. And I shared with Shane before we got on the air, I lost a great uncle this morning to COVID. And so, that makes me say today was the day to talk about gratitude, right? Because he didn't get one more day. So you do have one more day, and it can be a choice.
right.
So when you're on the road, what are some hacks to make yourself um, make yourself available to other people, or some hacks to remember why you're doing this?
Now when you guys brought me into doing these podcasts, it couldn't have come at a better time, because I was in a position where it was so stressful, that I finally got an opportunity to get out of what I was thinking of. But I think everybody's different. What do you do to decompress? Everybody's a little bit different. Some of those people, you're on the job to make your money. You're not there to make friends, and not everybody's the most personable. Sometimes you make some great friends. I've made some really good friends over the years. Alan Woodford's, one of them. Uh, my friend
Yes, sir.
Drew's another one. My friend Derek's another one. Some of these
Linda
things
Martin.
yeah. You guys, like I said, you guys couldn't have come at a better time for me, because it's hard and another thing is, we talked about money, but what helps me find gratitude is realizing what I'm doing it for. Because no matter how much money's out there and how much time away, you can't make up for lost time. And I know there've been many a times where I knew I was going to be coming home for a little bit, and I'd start calling all my friends, telling I'll be there next week or whatever. And yeah, make sure you come by and see me. And then time goes by because I spent it all with my family, and oops, I didn't get to see them. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you're home for 3 days or 3 weeks or 3 months. When you've been gone a long time, it's never enough time. I mean,
Yeah.
hours seem like minutes, and sometimes minutes seem like hours. Depends on what you're doing. And
I know, but they're all yours to spend,
yep,
right? Every single minute of it is yours to spend. And you know, even with 3 marriages, sounds like you found your groove, right?
yeah.
And
I've learned some hard lessons actually, but
you know, I think we all have, right? I mean, we learned some humility along the way, and you know, COVID. I was going to say COVID year. 2020 has been a hard year for me personally in a lot of different respects, and in a lot of different respects of stuff I can't talk about.
yeah,
As we talked on the, you know, when we shut off the video the other night, and but my gratitude lies in this. It lies in that I have people that love me. I have friends. I have new friends. I have fantastic friends. Um, and I also have, um, you know, a job that I love doing where I get to interact with people. Um, I'm not a slave to the upper echelons of safety anymore, which is very important to me because I think what I heard the other night on our chat was that there are a lot of people that are thinking that, you know, some of this stuff is going in the wrong direction and it now needs to self-correct.
mhm,
And I would like to be a part of that. And, you know, uh, thy will be done, I guess, as far as what you guys um you know you want me to do. So I'm here and I'm participating, and I love you all.
right.
So you know, I think if some of you guys that are listening, I can't even believe the amount of people that are listening to this right now, Shane. They're listening to you, they're listening to me and talk about gratitude. But if you want to type in what you're grateful for, I'll throw it up there on the screen. And just would love to, you know, love to just share with each other what, you know, what we're grateful for, right?
Right.
And if you need, um, like I said, if you need somebody to talk to, reach out, you know. I mean, there's a messaging thing on LinkedIn, and I usually respond to most of my messages within 24 or 48 hours. You can look up Mr. Shane Oliver, you can look up Mr. Pedro Maciel. There are a lot of us out there that are willing to kind of mentor, guide, talk, chat. You know, look up some of our happy hours. You don't have to drink to be at our happy hours, but you do have to be somewhat happy.
Yeah. I got water.
And if you're not happy, you certainly are going to leave happy after our happy hours. So I just want to say that here we got grateful to be an essential worker and having a job during this time, COVID. Jane, thanks for that comment. You know, I actually am having on the show in about a couple of weeks, anyways, a childhood friend who's now a captain in the fire department in Madison, Wisconsin. And she's been working the front lines of COVID, and it has actually delayed her retirement to work on the front lines as an essential worker. And so I am thankful for every single one of you that go out there every day and put your lives um, in harm's way for the rest of us.
I'd like to take a
Jane,
minute to address the military, if you don't
yes,
mind,
yes, please.
so they don't feel left out. But uh, I know when I was in, what caused me to not reenlist was, first of all, I was young and I didn't understand what on the job politics meant.
Yeah,
Uh, and at that time, in the mid late '90s, you still had a lot of what we call patriots. These days, it's a little bit different because people start joining for different reasons. Not all of them are patriots; they're joining for, uh, for the benefits, for the college money, things like that.
yeah.
And it's important to understand that you get yourself in a position that you can't get out of. And a lot of us been in the military can attest to the fact that drinking is our only go-to. And just like any other, alcohol and drugs just lead to more depression. Uh,
Hmm.
And I know the last unit I was attached to was a rapid deploy unit. We were in and out of Kosovo and in the Balkans and things, and then they were the first tank unit to roll in with the Marine Corps to Iraq. That rapid deploy setting is it's very stressful. You can't ever seem to own anything. You can't ever seem to enjoy the money you're making or your time off, because at any given time that bell might go off and you're going to be back on an airplane somewhere.
Right.
And the fear is, I mean, I guess unless you've been in the military, that's the only way you can describe the unknown. And again, there still are some patriots, but man, there's a lot of young people in the military now that find themselves in positions they didn't expect they were going to be in, because things like I only came in for college money and stuff like
Right.
that. But
Right.
it's don't forget those people. Alcohol is what took me down, and it's why I didn't reenlist, why I didn't stay in. Because I mean, I was very good at my job, but I was very good at drinking too.
Yeah.
And it was a bad thing.
Funny,
but,
not funny. I'm sorry, Shane. Funny, not funny, but it is true, right?
For any active military and veterans who might be listening to this, understand, I feel you, and there's a lot more people out there. Pedro again, I see Jared Tomasi, Alan Wilford, big advocates for suicide and PTSD.
Yep.
Very big advocates.
Get the help. If you can't get it through the VA, get it through. I think Jared Tomasi talks a lot about Project Refit, and some of those other organizations. Talk to other military personnel, but realize there's much to be grateful for. There's much to be grateful for, and I'm gonna say I'm grateful to everybody that tuned in today. That this is amazing. I don't know if LinkedIn's going to cut me off now. I see that some of the people on LinkedIn can't hear the broadcast, and I'm sorry for that. It will be posted on YouTube, and I'm going to try to correct being able to listen. But I'm gonna kind of cut it at an hour here and say, holy moly, I'm so excited for this opportunity. And I'm going to talk about a bunch of things. Some of them you might not want to hear about. Some of them you might want to hear about. And we're going to bring Mr. Shane back, and we might bring some other people back that I've made good friends with. And you all are my brothers and sisters. And so stay safe over the holiday season. And Mr. Shane, thank you for being my first guest on LinkedIn Live broadcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for everybody that listens.
Yeah. And Cheryl says, is the broadcast ending? Yeah, I can't talk all day, Cheryl. I'm sorry.
We probably could.
I probably could. And I've got lots to say, but if you like this time period, type in the chat box. I love this time period because I'd love to do this noontime, and we can talk about gratefulness and love and peace and understanding, and just love on each other. And we can talk about safety. We can talk about human resources. We can talk about a bunch of things. And I plan to do that. Right. And we're going to make some people uncomfortable, and that's okay. Because sometimes when you're uncomfortable, you actually grow. So get prepared to grow with the safety struggle. And thank you all for tuning in. I really super appreciate you. Have a happy Thanksgiving and have a great day.